E20 fuel is exactly what it sounds like, a blend of 20% ethanol and 80% petrol. It is India's aggressive new standard, designed to replace traditional fuel across the entire country. India is pushing this massive shift into the national supply for two highly practical reasons. The country needs to cut down on expensive crude oil imports, and it needs to lower overall carbon emissions. To make sure this rollout wouldn't wreck millions of vehicles, researchers at IIT Kanpur stepped in to verify the safety of the new fuel blend. The scientists didn't just guess. They hooked engines up to dynamometers, specialized machines that artificially simulate real-world driving conditions by changing speeds and applying heavy physical loads to stress test the hardware. After extensive testing, the lab reached a definitive conclusion. They found absolutely zero evidence that E20 damages engines, and no evidence that it reduces fuel efficiency. According to the highest levels of scientific testing, the E20 transition is completely harmless to the average driver. You fill up the tank, you drive off, and the engine runs perfectly. At least that's how it works in the lab. Now let's go to Raipur, to Dr. Premraj Davta and his brand new Maruti Suzuki hybrid. A few months after he bought it, the car started stalling and breaking down right in the middle of the road. He took it to the workshop. The mechanics went looking for the culprit, and to find it, they had to physically drain the fuel tank. What they found at the bottom was shocking. Instead of clean liquid, they pulled out hard crystal deposits and a thick, milky, curd-like sludge. This discovery triggered a maddening loop of blame. The dealership pointed fingers at the petrol pump, claiming the fuel was adulterated. The petrol pump pointed right back, blaming the car's design. Meanwhile, the manufacturer told Dr. Devta that fixing the engine would cost him 5.3 lakh rupees, and they refused to offer any future warranty on the new parts. We are left with a direct contradiction. If top-tier science proves E20 is completely safe, why are these engines failing and clogging in the real world? And when it happens, who is actually supposed to pay for it? To solve that paradox, we have to look closely at the paperwork Dr. Devta signed. When he bought his car, there was a hidden variable. The dealership explicitly claimed the car was manufactured in December 2023, but official documents revealed it was actually built 11 months earlier, in January. That gap creates a critical technical mismatch. Higher ethanol concentrations can degrade rubber seals and parts in older engines, not specifically hardened for E20. Dr. Devta was kept entirely in the dark about this. He bought a new hybrid assuming it was built to handle modern pump standards, unaware that his specific engine lacked the required internal compatibility. The science holds up only if the hardware matches the chemistry. Pour E20 into an older, undisclosed legacy engine, and a green initiative becomes a source of mechanical failure. This problem isn't isolated to one dealership in Raipur. It exposes a systemic trap waiting for consumers at almost every physical petrol pump in the country. India's national rollout moved fast. It phased older fuels out of the pumps quicker than consumers could adapt. Today, if you pull up to a nozzle, E20 is often the only physical option available. There is remarkably little transparency at these stations. The pumps rarely label the ethanol percentage clearly. In some cases, attendants even push drivers toward expensive premium fuels, falsely claiming they have a lower ethanol content when they are actually still E20. After years of driving a broken car and dealing with constant pushback from the manufacturer, Dr. Devta decided he'd had enough. He escalated the issue and took Maruti Suzuki to the consumer court. The court delivered a historic verdict. They ordered the automaker to either replace his vehicle with a fully E20 compatible model within 45 days, or refund his entire purchase price of over 20 lakh rupees, plus compensation. The logic behind the ruling is straightforward. Because the government mandated E20 as the standard fuel and removed the alternatives, manufacturers are strictly liable if they fail to disclose that a vehicle cannot safely burn the only fuel left at the pump. This brings us right back to the IIT Kanpur lab findings, permanently resolving our core paradox. The scientists were perfectly correct, but they were systemically blind. E20 works flawlessly in a controlled vacuum. But lab tests don't account for dealership deceit, bait-and-switch manufacturing dates, or the forced feeding of incompatible engines. Dr. Devta's legal victory is significant because it establishes a clear legal roadmap for any driver sold an older vehicle under false pretenses. Look at this assembly line. Right now, there are hundreds of thousands of legacy vehicles operating on Indian roads, all manufactured before their engines were made E20 ready. Every single one of those drivers is unknowingly risking a total fuel system failure every time they visit a standardized petrol pump. This court precedent radically shifts the power dynamic. It gives the average citizen a tested legal mechanism to challenge automotive giants who tried to deflect responsibility for fuel compatibility. Transitioning to a green energy economy is a necessary step, but that transition collapses if the financial costs are secretly passed down to the consumer. Going forward, the government and automakers have a choice: either enforce total transparency or prepare for a wave of court-ordered compensations.